time ago connected with death that I don't remember, but that's what this is about.
Okay, holding it in there.
There's the death, but then there's something that was added or something about, but it was something that was said, and that your thing about you said, I thought, oh, something was said. Yeah.
So so Robert's identifying, there's something there, I don't know what it is. You just stay, that's okay. You don't have to know what it is. So we're gonna say this unknown statement, right? Okay, somebody said something to you, all right. So now, and at this point, when I'm working with somebody individually, I'm writing affirmations and this stuff. So if you've worked, none of you worked with me individually, but I write furiously. And at the end, probably I'm the only one that can read it, but doesn't matter, really, because it's reminders for what we're going to tap on. And then as we're tapping too, other things come to my mind, come up, because I'm also reading between the lines. The first thing that I wrote down is I allow myself to feel how I feel, because that's one of the first places of struggle. Is I feel angry. I don't want to feel angry. And then we have this, right? So then you have this internal battle that's, well, I'm angry. Well, you're not supposed to be angry. I shouldn't be angry. And like it goes down that, right? So you can actually tap on that whole dialogue. That's a whole tapping sequence right there. Even though I don't want to be angry, I am angry, and I love and accept myself anyway. I'm angry. No, I'm not. I shouldn't be angry. Yes, I am. Right? So you can tap that way. I allow myself to feel how I feel. And because we have a lot of feelings written down, I'm going to say, two things. These feelings are temporary, because the truth is they are. Everything is temporary. A little bit of Buddhist in there. Maybe they're signaling something for me, because that's the role of emotions. Emotions are signals. The idea is if I'm angry usually about something. What am I angry about? And then, what is the anger? How is that serving me? Somehow the anger is serving me. That's the acceptance. Now, that's another one. So we can now blend different kinds of techniques in here. Here's a mindfulness statement. Maybe I could practice radical acceptance. I choose to practice radical acceptance. So again, I'm listening. What goes on there is more individual, but and so as I'm writing, what kind of balancing statements or affirmations come to your mind? Here's a spiritual bypass one. I choose love anyway. That's why we're here. There's all kinds of.
So when you say radical acceptance, are you saying that, I guess when I think about what you're saying, I'm trying to apply it to what I actually wrote down? So is it generalized or can it be very specific?
It can be specific. Yeah, I'm again, we're doing something general, but really technically, it's be really specific, it should be specific.
Okay.
One of the most recent Course in Miracle lessons was, I want the peace of God. And what's the difference, I wonder, between I choose and I want? Want seems more almost childlike, demanding, like, I deserve this, I want this. Like,
And so my response to that is want also implies lack. The lack of presence, right? And when I say I choose, like that's deliberate. That's like I can bring it in. I have the ability to do that. I use a lot of choices statements because Pat Carrington is an EFT master, and she created what she called her choices method, which all of her statements are choice statements. And she has 3 phases of her process. The first phase is just doing this, and one balance statement or a couple of balance statements of choices. And then the second phase is a blend of this and I can choose, right? And the third phase is I'm choosing this. This might be happening, more of the choices, so that there's a flow from what actually is to where you want to be. And that's not forced. It's a gradual process. So, ready? Let's tap together on this. Outside of the hand. Even though I've had this frustrating communication, my ex-text. I allow myself to feel how I feel. Even though I have this frustrating communication, it's okay to feel how I feel. Even though I have this frustrating communication, feel hot and irritated, I'm allowed to feel how I feel. Eyebrow. This frustrating communication. Side of the eye. This ex-text. Under the eye. Feeling hot and irritated. Under the nose. Feeling my teeth clenched. Above the chin. My shoulders scrunched. Collarbone, and all this resentment. Under the arm, and fear. Top of the head. And did I mention guilt? Eyebrow, feeling so afraid. Side of the nose, so irritated. Under the eye, so angry and frustrated. Under the nose, but I know I should be thinking differently. Above the chin, I'm supposed to feel different. Collarbone, but I don't. Under the arm, it's so complex. Top of the head. And I want to be helpful. Eyebrow, but it's a hot mess. Side of the eye, I feel like a hot mess. Under the eye, it's a hot mess. Under the nose, I'm allowed to feel how I feel. Above the chin, I'm allowing myself to feel how I feel. Collarbone, all this fear and guilt. Under the arm, all this resentment. Top of the head, all this feeling in my body. Eyebrow, it's all temporary. Side of the eye, maybe these emotions under the eye are signaling something. Under the nose, I wonder what they're signaling. Above the chin, I'm open to their message.
I'm open to their message.
Collarbone, I'm open to the message of the situation.
Open to the message of the situation.
And the this text message situation.
This text message situation.
Top of the head, I allow myself to feel how I feel.
I allow myself to feel how I feel.
Eyebrow, and now I choose.
And now I choose.
Side of the eye, maybe I could practice.
Maybe I can practice.
Under the eye, radical acceptance.
Radical acceptance.
Under the nose, maybe I could choose peace.
Maybe I should choose peace.
Above the chin, maybe I could choose love.
Maybe I should choose love.
Collarbone, I'm not ready yet.
I'm not ready yet.
Under the arm, and that's okay too.
And that's okay too.
Top of the head, I allow myself to feel how I feel.
I allow myself to feel how I feel.
Eyebrow, this emotion is temporary.
This emotion is temporary.
Side of the eye, I can feel how I feel.
I can feel how I feel.
Under the eye, and they can feel how they feel.
And they can feel how they feel.
Under the eye, under the nose, yeah. I'm allowed to feel how I feel.
I'm allowed to feel how I feel.
Above the chin, and I'm allowed to do what I need to do.
I'm allowed to do what I need to do.
Collarbone, and so are they.
So are they.
Under the arm, I choose peace.
I choose peace.
Top of the head, I choose love.
I choose love.
So stop and take a deep breath. And what do you notice?
Wow. Yeah.
So any shifting. So often what happens is other thoughts or other feelings come up. And so the next round is adding those in. Whatever happens to be up. So how's everybody doing? So who's still above a 2? Ish?
Maybe-ish.
Okay. Ideally, we want to get to a 0. So I would ask, how do you know it's above a 2? And that's where you can check in with your body. Like your body is holding all kinds of stuff.
But for me, I know I've had a shift in my thinking, like I allow myself to feel how I feel, because that part of my frustration is the resistance to how I feel,
Yeah.
because I think I'm wrong or
Yep.
stupid or.
This is sort of almost a magical statement.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Because there is people like, oh yeah. Yeah, I've even said we've had conversations with people. While we're tapping, I'll say, and I'm allowed to feel how I feel. And I've had clients like, I am? Yes, you are. And then they'll say, and so we'll tap. We're having a conversation as we're tapping, and they'll say, really? Really? And then they'll get to that. Oh, what if I could? And then I'll say, what if I could allow myself to feel how I feel? So I'm using phrases like, what if I could? Maybe I could. All of those that are kind of
Approaching.
to soften the resistance. So the resistance is a natural part of when we face something really important, especially. So we'll use different kinds of statements that kind of are like they're workarounds. It's okay to feel it's okay to have a resistance. Really? Yep, it's okay. That's just how I feel. So when we go back to identifying the issue, this is the truth. It's the truth for you. So if somebody says, well, you're already doing this negative stuff, okay, we have to start there. So if you're building a house, you can't just start with putting a window in if you don't have the framework, right? If you don't have a frame, you can't put a window in. That was a great metaphor. Oh, I kind of like that. I'll use that again. And so that's the same true. It's like we have to start with a foundation. If the foundation of where you are is what the issue is, that's the truth. You start with the truth. And then what you're noticing is the thoughts and the feelings start to shift. Maybe that you move from feeling hot and irritated to annoyed. Okay, that's when you say, well, I really feel annoyed. Okay, the intensity is less than annoyed, isn't it, than hot and irritated. And you probably saw too that for some of it, I really exaggerated. Like, I didn't say this. It's okay to do that. Because often, we really don't give voice to how we're really feeling. Because it's scary. So you might put that in. That's even scary.
in the moment.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Can we do a time check? Yeah. There we go.
11 o'clock on the 3.
Great. So, other questions or comments? It is a good time to drink some fluid. I apologize. We've been tapping ahead.
I like how you graciously, you didn't dwell on it, but you acknowledge that there may be another point of view. And toward the end,
Mm-hmm.
what if they have a point?
Right, I just kind of slipped that in.
When-
Because we get, I actually had a couple sessions, thank you for that. I actually had a couple sessions last night. And that's where we, like, when couples are really in conflict, they are not able to see the other's point of view. So we have to sort of soften that first. Like, I'm allowed to think what I think. And so are you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, that's a concept because you're supposed to think how I think.
That's actually what my issue had to deal with. So when you said that, I was like, oh, well, okay. I guess she's right. They have their feelings too, and they're allowed. Fine.
And that's a balance too, right? That's a balance in the relationship. If I allow myself, then I do have to allow the other person. But it's easier to get there when I'm not intense
And a hot mess.
and a hot
Yep.
mess. Yeah. So, this I choose love anyway. No, I don't know if you noticed that I didn't, when we were doing the rounds, these were not the first statements that I was making. Like, we had to work toward that. And I only started adding them when I had the sense that folks were ready for it. So it was there, but
It's the ultimate goal.
really the ultimate goal is if I can start from a place of self-love, like if I've got it in me, I see it outside. So the purpose of that initial setup statement with the balancing statement, I deeply and completely love and accept myself, is brilliant. And the place of work for so many of us. So we get there, right?
And you said something the other day that I really liked. You said that you could soften it like little by little or over time.
Right.
Because so many of my people's need, you can't say that right out the gate.
Nope.
You can say little by little, work in progress.
More and more, little by little. Those are also like the tack-ons that are that soften it. Little by little, more and more, I'm learning to. Those are ones that are like, oh, I can say that because really I do want to learn that. And it is little by little because that's what my aim is. I just can't say it right now. Okay, you don't have to. It's really okay.
It's a plant of possibility.
Right, we are planting a seed of that possibility. Yes. Yeah. The training that I went to last week, they just start with, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. It's pretty mechanical in that way. And so when I'm teaching that set of techniques, that protocol, that's what I'm going to be saying. And at the same time, this week I worked with several people, first time that I worked with tapping, and I said, so how does that sit with you? Say, I deeply and completely love and accept myself, and they're like, you know. So it's okay, we can stop with that. It's just what's recommended. We don't have to do everything that's recommended.
You are radical.
I get to choose. All right, so what do you want to choose? Good. I was still nervous in the direction that you want to move in.
Even that statement right there, I get to choose, is so powerful.
So many.
Yeah.
Because, you know, our clients ourselves, we're locked in and think, okay, even driving, you get to choose. You know, you move from that student driver, 10 and 2, and you're just so rigid, and after a while, you realize, well, I can switch lanes.
Right.
I can.
There are a lot of choices in there.
So many.
But when you're first starting, you really need to have a formula. Like, so this is a formula. We have a formula. That's the basic EFT, and we're learning basic EFT, and then you can start changing. So that, like what we did here. So, what we usually do is have our last round be just affirmations. And that goes back to what I said before. Like, you can tap in something. And you all have been tapping in the lesson from Course in Miracles. I think that's beautiful. What do you want to, so each of you have had some shift in thinking. Somewhere in there. You had a little aha. That is a balancing statement. Those are affirmations that are already ready for you. So we'll include these. And how about some others? What others do you want to include?
Maybe you can help me tweak it, but what if the very thing I felt, don't go there yet. It takes a while to get there. But I mean, the very thing that I felt guilty about was actually, my reaction was a good thing and could be a good thing in the overall. So basically, what if I'm okay, I guess.
So the statement is, or question is, what if I could trust how I feel and what I choose to do? So I didn't say, like, that's another opening. Like, we asked a question, maybe I could, what if I could? What if I could? Oh, well, that opens a whole other possibility. So it's not a straight affirmation, but it's still an opening. And you were like, that was great. Okay. How about others?
What about just the saying, like, it is okay?
Yeah.
Like, I keep having that, and it's followed by a million different things, but, like, it all boils down to just, it is okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Like, it was okay to feel the way that felt. It was okay for them to feel the way, like, it just spirals. Everything.
All is well.
Yeah.
Julian, all shall be well and all shall be well. That one.
Okay. Any others? It's cool stuff, isn't it? So let's do a last round. And what I haven't said before is that this outside of the hand, that point is intended to soften resistance too. So we have the setup statement with the issue and the balancing statement or the affirmation up here. And when we're tapping in something, we were already taking care of the resistance, so we can skip that outside the hand point. So we're gonna start with the eyebrow. I allow myself to feel how I feel. Side of the eye, it's okay to feel how I feel.
It's okay to feel.
Under the eye, I'm allowed to feel how I feel. Under the nose, I even give myself permission. Above the chin, these feelings are temporary anyway. Collarbone, they're signals. Under the eye, and I'm open to what they're signaling. Top of the head, what if I could trust? Eyebrow, how I feel. Side of the eye, and what I choose to do. Under the eye, I'm open to trusting how I feel. Above the chin, and what I choose to do. Collarbone, because it's all going to be okay anyway. Under the arm, I'm going to be okay. Top of the head, all is well. Eyebrow, and all is well. Side of the eye, and all is well. Under the nose, all shall be well. Above the chin, all shall be well. Collarbone, all shall be well. Under the arm, I choose peace. Top of the head, I choose love. So stop and take a deep breath. And just notice. Go back to the original issue that you wrote down. And what's happening to it?
Floating.
So the worst thing that can happen is that you feel dizzy or you feel nothing. How many of you felt nothing? Nobody raised their hands. And again, that's the power of a group. So we didn't necessarily work specifically on yours, but the energy of and the exponential energy of this group helped to shift to something that is more empowering, more at peace, and more in alignment with love. Because that's why we're here to begin with. Our systems naturally want to move in that direction. It doesn't matter. We have a natural movement toward health, wellness, and well-being. So that's a big piece of what tapping can help with. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to turn this off.